Hey there, this is Tracy Cotton from Morrow Insurance Agency, and I hope that you are doing well today, this Wednesday afternoon. It's beautiful here, and I hope that wherever you are located, that it is a wonderful spring day as well. I wanted to come to you today just about on time, finally back to my normal schedule at least, with the question of the day for small business and farm businesses, an insurance question, because that's what I do. I come out and try to do a Periscope just about every day, Monday through Friday. And I try to make it sometime in the midday hours because that's typically when most business owners are there, and hopefully they might just be looking around and trying to get some answers. As a reminder, if you are catching this on the replay from the Morrow Insurance YouTube channel, because we do record these and post these up there, if you see me talking to somebody, it will be because this is a live broadcast from Periscope, and somebody may have put a question or a comment down at the bottom of the screen, and you won't see that at the bottom of the screen, so I'm not just talking to myself. Otherwise, I am just talking to myself, because literally speaking, that might be the case. But just to go ahead and get started with the question of the day today, the question of the day today is hey, how are you doing? Thanks so much for joining. Is for really more towards small business owners, but it could be for a farm business as well that has employees. If you have employees in your business, hopefully you are really fortunate and they're great employees. I hope that you have hired, wonderful people, and they're just really happy to be there because hopefully you'll never have to worry with anything about them being bad employees. And obviously, if something happens and they were to do something in the line of work that ended up hurting somebody, your general liability coverage would take care of them as employees. So them doing something to somebody else because, they work for you is not a problem. And accidents happen and things do happen, and so there's, lots of incidents that you can't really predict for. But one of the things that I have had asked in the past is what do I do if I have a bad employee that actually does something to my business? And here's some examples. A couple of years ago, we had a dental practice here in Marion, North Carolina, that had an employee who ended up embezzling. She took off with money that actually was supposed to belong to an insurance carrier. She was supposed to be sending the money off to them every month, and she didn't. She was putting in the money in her pocket, and really, any size company really should be concerned about employee theft. But this particular situation was one that was very hard to detect because she wasn't really stealing from her employer, but she was stealing at her employer. And so there was some actual money that they ended up being on the hook for, but they did have what's called employee theft. Employee theft or employee dishonesty is supposed to protect a business owner, and it's put underneath their insurance. That's typically on their building, or if they have a package policy, it's usually included in there. Not always a lot of coverage. There may be additional coverage available for just a little additional charge, but employee dishonesty or employee theft can protect a business from them possibly running out with your own funds. I mean, literally taking a little bit of money off the top or something like that. Or in this particular case, they were stealing at their employer, and eventually, once they got caught, he was actually on the hook for the money that was owed back to the insurance carrier. So that was a really bad situation, and it ended up costing a lot of money for the employer, some of which was covered. And that's the point, that ask your current insurance agent, do I, on my business policy, have anything for employee dishonesty? One of the things, though, that goes along with employee dishonesty could be if somebody's stealing information. If the employee were to be taking credit card numbers, say, for instance, it's a restaurant, and you've got a waitress that maybe she's decided that she's going to decide to scam some some customers. She doesn't think she's hurting you. In reality, she could be hurting you a lot, because you could end up on the hook if that customer says, my identification has been stolen. Somebody has actually been using my credit card fraudulently, and the last place I used my credit card was at your establishment. And you're on the hook because you have my credit card information, and somebody did something with it. And I'm going to hold you accountable for that. That actually falls underneath cyber liability. Credit card fraud and so forth is all kind of tied into that. But if you've got an employee that is actually using patient information, customer information, other employees' information, and you end up in a situation where they've done something while working for you, you need to make sure that you're protected for that. And so check into your own policies to see if there's coverage for that. And then finally, the other time that an employee might be kind of looking to do you wrong is what if you've got an employee that actually ends up doing something to another employee that makes them uncomfortable. Maybe you've got that particular employee who makes inappropriate jokes. Perhaps he or she has been known to say things that were of a sexual nature in front of other employees or in front of other customers. If you end up in a situation with perhaps sexual harassment, you're going to want to make sure that you've got employee practices liability. There's not always coverage for everything that falls underneath that umbrella, but if there is coverage for there, and if it does cover there being some harassment issues, you're going to want to make sure that you are covered as the employer, because you don't want them to come back against you for having had this other employee that you didn't control better. And so, yes, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you checking in. I appreciate the hearts and the great information there. But this is one of those situations where things can get really sticky. And obviously, you also could have a situation that can go along with these types of things where perhaps you have a he said, she said. You've got one employee that says that, they've not done anything wrong, and you go ahead and fire them, and you have wrongfully possibly fired them based on misinformation. Again, if you end up in a situation where you as an employer, for your hiring, firing, and employment practices, end up on the line, the employment practices liability is really the best place to try to find coverage. You'll need to figure out exactly what the policies cover, because they're not 100% standard. Different carriers handle it different ways. It's typically a separate policy for that EPLI coverage. Hello, and thanks so much for joining. But definitely check that out. I do like to tell people to check with your current insurance agent first, but do feel free on my actual profile with Periscope. It does have my email address. It's insurancewisetracy@gmail.com. And I certainly hope that that you will email me if you have any questions whatsoever that you might want me to put on a future Periscope, or if it's something that you just want me to see if I can't try to give you some direction on myself. But I normally will send folks back to their current insurance carrier just to make sure that you get the best advice for the area that you live in. That's why it's important to have a local agent, and we've discussed that in a prior Periscope. Hope that everybody's having a great week. And again, I hope that this is something that's helpful to those out there that might be business owners, have employees. Certainly hope that you will catch this on the replay if you came in late. And I do appreciate everybody for the hearts. It's just wonderful to have you as a follower here on Periscope. And I look forward to seeing you on future scopes. Take care, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day.